You know what time it is? It's deer hunting time. Folks, it is officially October, which means hunting season is here, and that means we're getting ready. Some of us have been hunting, some of us are getting ready. But here are 5 things you need to know about hunting with the bat crossbows. Let's jump right in. Folks, so here they are. Here's the bat reverse and here's the bat. And today I'm gonna give you guys a couple of pointers or a couple of things you need to know about before hunting with one of these crossbows. So let's jump right in and not take up too much of your time. So first of all, y'all are probably familiar with both of our crossbow models. We got the bat reverse and the regular forward limb bat crossbow. And right off the bat, folks, with the forward style limb bat, you're not going to want to deer hunt with this. I don't recommend. This is going to be a lower poundage bow for small game like squirrels, grouse, rabbits. I don't recommend you use this for deer hunting. Now, it has been done, but right off the bat, I don't recommend you use the bat for large game. It's possible, however, I don't recommend. What I recommend is using the bat reverse. As you guys can see, the bat reverse is a different little style, and for those of you that don't know about our crossbows, this has reverse limb technology, so the power stroke is longer and the actual limbs are heavier. So this crossbow is producing a lot faster and harder hitting bolt than the bat. This has 120-pound limbs, this has 150-pound limbs, this has a 150-pound draw weight, and with my hunting bolts I'm shooting around 220 feet per second. This is the forward style bat, 120-pound limbs, 30-pound draw weight, and with my hunting bolts, it's shooting maybe like 150 feet per second, so significantly slower. So that's why I don't recommend you use the bat forward style limb for hunting. So that's the first thing. I just want to clear that up because a lot of folks aren't sure which one they should pick. So just right off the bat, you know, get yourself the bat reverse if you plan on deer hunting or hunting for larger game like hogs or whatever. So there you go. That is the first thing you need to know about hunting with the ballista crossbows. Now, let's go over to tip number 2. Now, the second one, this is nice to know before season, just so you have time to do this and practice with them. However, the second thing you need to know about hunting, or second tip you need to know before hunting with the bat crossbows, is this right here. Build your own hunting custom bolts. Now, we have the regular Sting bolts that you can purchase, 13 and 16-inch options, 300 spine. They're straight, they fly great. However, I highly recommend you do a couple of key customizations or enhancements to the actual bolt. So the first one is you're going to want to add a heavier insert. So you see this little steel insert right here. You definitely want to add that. That's a 120 grain insert. And this makes the bolt a lot heavier. So this bolt is 350 grains, I believe, 350 grains. And like I said, with the bat reverse, it's shooting around 220 feet per second. So one, you're gonna want a heavy insert. Because this is a lower poundage bow or crossbow, you definitely want something a little heavier that has a little more oomph. Now, we have full videos on all of this, but to make this simple and sweet for y'all, kinetic energy, velocity over mass equals kinetic energy. Now there's a whole debate of lightweight and faster, or heavy and slower. I know from my experience is with the slower poundage bow, you're gonna wanna shoot something a little heavier. Like I know with recurve bows, they're a little weaker than a compound bow, so they have a heavier bolt. So same thing goes with these crossbows. I definitely recommend shooting a little heavier bolt. However, it's personal preference. You shoot, you figure out what works for you. So first tip, add your own steel insert. We got these on ballista.co. Another thing I recommend doing, and this is for my guys that like to be extremely confident in their shooting. Plus, if you're not shooting mechanicals, and we'll get into that, if you're not shooting mechanicals and if you like a certain fixed blade broadhead, I definitely recommend doing this. That is adding a third vein like this. So this right here, this is a third vein. The Sting bolts only come with 2 veins like this. What I like to do is I add a third vein on top, and that enhances the stabilization insane. Like, I'm able to shoot almost any broadhead I want with the third vein, and I'm able to shoot further and straighter. So if you're looking to shoot a fixed blade broadhead, which I highly recommend, put on one of these third veins on top, and that'll get rid of any wobble, any funky shots. So that's the second thing you need to know before heading to the deer woods with the bat or the bat reverse. Build your own bolts, put a heavy insert on there, put a third vein, and these are gonna perform amazing. Let's jump to the third thing you need to know before hitting the deer woods. All right, now we already kind of talked about this a little bit. However, the third thing you need to know about using the bat crossbows, the third thing you need to know about using ballistic crossbows is I highly recommend using a fixed blade broadhead. Now, I have shot a handful of hogs with a mechanical, with a schwacker, just like this. However, I'll be honest, folks, I would put a lot more faith in a fixed blade broadhead like this. Now, a lot of folks don't like shooting fixed blade broadheads because you need to tune them. However, there's a handful of broadheads that I found that fly great with these bolts, and I have a full video on that, so you guys can go check that out. But I highly recommend using a fixed blade broadhead. This minimizes the margins for error and increases them for a successful, ethical, clean shot. The problem with mechanical broadheads like this one right here is, let's say you hit a rib and you are a little past your comfort zone. Let's say you took a little risky shot. With this mechanical broadhead, as you guys know, when they hit the hide, they deploy, right? And they open up, the blades open up. Now what that does is that robs a lot of kinetic energy that would be being forced. I'm not a, what do you call them? I'm not a scientist, I'm not a joke, I don't know. This is simple stuff. So as soon as this broadhead comes into that animal and deploys those blades, that opening it, that force is going into opening those blades, and you're robbing that kinetic energy like I was saying. Versus with the fixed blade broadhead, all the kinetic energy is shooting and is being forced throughout the entire duration of the shot in the bolt. Wherever it goes, it is being pushed completely through. With this, energy gets robbed when it's opening up, leaving you with less penetration. And we know we want to get as much penetration as we can. So that's why I recommend using a fixed blade broadhead. Plus, if you hit a rib, if you hit a bone, you got a lot more higher chances with getting recovery rates with a fixed blade, especially with a lower poundage crossbow. So that is the third thing you need to know about using the ballistic crossbows. All right, fourth thing, let's talk about range. So a lot of folks, they see a crossbow like, that's a toy, you can't shoot very far, yada, yada, yada. Or they think that you can shoot as far as a full-size crossbow like the Mega Bat. Folks, this is a pistol crossbow, don't forget. As far as range goes, we recommend you stay within 25 yards. Now, not to say that you can't shoot further. We've had guys take down deer past 35 yards. However, for a clean and ethical shot, I highly recommend you stay within that 25-yard range to increase, once again, your harvest rate and your recovery rate. You definitely don't want to be taking long shots. Anything past 35 yards, I don't recommend. However, you shoot your bow, you shoot your crossbow, you get comfortable, and you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. But once again, we recommend you stay within 25 yards. So if you plan on hunting within 25, 30 yards, the bat reverse is a great option for you. Last but not least, let's talk about the actual bat reverse. So one last thing I recommend, or another thing you can know or should know before heading to the deer woods, is that you can actually increase the poundage and power of this crossbow. Now, I have a video out on this, but to go over it really quickly, you're gonna need a press tool, and that's it. So as you guys can see right here, we got these cables right here, and you can actually put a few twists in them, and that makes the crossbow shoot harder. Like I said, we got a full video on this, but I recommend doing this, especially if you've been shooting the bow all year long or all summer long, and you notice that your bolts are starting to fly a little slower. Get that press tool, press the crossbow together, twist those cables, tighten them up, and you're gonna be shooting a lot harder. Now, if you have a new bow, be careful because you don't want to crack your limbs. However, you can, now, you know, be careful with it. Obviously, don't be stupid. However, you can twist them and increase the power just to get a little more speed out of the bat reverse. So there you go, folks. Those are a few tips and tricks, or 5 things you just need to know before heading to the deer woods with your bat crossbow. Now, if you like this crossbow right here, the bat reverse, you guys can see it's absolutely tiny. It's got a folding stock on it. If you like this crossbow and you want to pick one up for yourself, I'll leave a link down below, or you can visit ballista.co. This thing is great. It's killed many deer, it's killed many hogs. Cool feature is that you can uncock it just like that. So folks, if you like what you see, visit ballista.co, and I'll see you next time. Get out there, enjoy the woods, and good luck, folks.